Hey friends, it's Steven with Leviathan Snakes, and for this week's video, we want to talk about how long does it take to work a triple recessive project if you're starting from scratch. So this is actually something that we are doing right now. So we hope you guys enjoy the video. If you do, please like, comment, and subscribe, but let's jump in. It is no secret that I absolutely love the Sunset project, and we are actually working a couple different triple recessive projects with the Sunset morph. And while I say we're working a couple different, we're not anywhere close to even potentially hitting a triple visual. Instead, we're kind of going about from the route that most people do when they're getting into it, of starting from scratch. So back in 2020, we had bought a visual Sunset male, and he is kind of like the basis for our entire Sunset project. And we have other visual Sunsets that we've gotten since then, but he is really like the key. He is the sire for all of the initial babies, all of the foundations for these triple recessive projects that we want to work. For this video, we want to use the example of the Sunset Ultramale Clown, and I'm really excited about this triple recessive project, though it's going to be years and years and years down the road before we have a chance to even get close to it. Now, the reason why we're so excited about this is that we think that the Sunset Clown looks absolutely incredible. We think that the Sunset Ultramale looks amazing, and if we can get a Sunset Clown with the Ultramale colors, it's going to be mind-blowing. We're so excited. And I think that this is really important when you are deciding if you're going to work a triple recessive project, because we'll see here in a second, it takes so long and so many babies to really have a chance to hit it. I feel like that you don't want to waste so many years of your life working a triple recessive project where when you finally hit it, it's barely noticeable versus a double recessive project that already exists and is much easier to hit. So for this example, we're going from scratch, Sunset Ultramale Clown. So what we did is in 2020, we bought our visual Sunset male, and we got him as a hatchling. He had actually had one meal when we bought him, and Brock Wagner had fed him, got him established, and then sent him to us, and he has been amazing for us. He's great. But anyways, so we grew him up for another year, so it wasn't until 2021 before we started pairing him. And when we paired him to a visual clown, no other genes in her, and we had gotten her as a breeder female. She had laid one clutch previously and then had taken a year off, and this was like the second year that she had gone, or second year since she had laid her previous clutch. So we got her as a breeder female, and we started pairing in 2021 with them. And then for the Ultramale, we had done a breeder loan with our friend Troy from Balls and Strikes, where he sent his Ultramale girl, again, a adult female, though she wasn't proven yet, and we paired them in 2021 as well. So while we started pairing in 2021, it wasn't until 2022 before both of these different girls had their clutches. And it's completely possible that if you have a female, they may not go the first year that you kind of like are able to pair them. And if this happens, it can push out this timeline even further. But for us, they did. So in 2022, we got a clutch from both the clown female and from the Ultramale female, and we essentially made double hets that were appropriate for both of these different Sunset Clown project, Sunset Ultramale project. So those double hets, we ended up holding back. We actually held back, I think, 4 female double hets from the Sunset Clown, and then we ended up buying a clown het Sunset from Brock in order to help out the odds later on. And we held back 1.3 double het Sunset Ultramales from the Ultramale clutch. Now, with this, it doesn't really matter because now we're kind of going into the future. It's past where we're at now, but we are now raising up those babies, and it's 2023, and they are not going to be big enough to go this year. They're just kind of hit a year older. They're just about to hit a year old for us. So instead, we're planning on being able to pair them sometime during 2024, and if it kind of maintains the same pattern, is we'll start pairing at the end of 2024, and it won't be until 2025 before we get clutches from these different double hets. And again, double het to double het is really low odds. That's one of the reasons why we had gotten that clown het Sunset. But let's just assume that we end up hitting a Sunset Clown and a Sunset Ultramale in 2025. If we get one of each and we hold them back, then we need to grow them up. So the male, whichever one would be the male in this situation, they might be ready by like maybe end of 2026 if they were born in 2025. But let's just assume that we're just waiting until the female's ready to go. So that's not going to be 2026 because they'd only be a year old. We would probably start pairing, as long as she ate well and all that stuff, in 2027 for this. And if we paired the Sunset Clown to a Sunset Ultramale in 2027, and in 2028 we got a a clutch where it was visual sunsets that are double het for clown and ultramel. That's kind of like the last piece that we'd really need, and we need to grow up that generation of babies. So let's say that we get that clutch from the sunset clown to the sunset ultramel in 2028. So in 2028, we get our visual sunsets that are double het for clown and ultramel, and we hold back several of those babies and we raise them up. So from 2028 to 2029 is 1 year. Maybe the male would be ready at that point, but the females aren't. Then 2029 to 2030 would be 2 years. That's when we would potentially start pairing the females, as long as they were up to size and everything was good. So at 2030, we would then hopefully have a chance to hit a visual sunset ultramel clown, and again, going off of kind of the pattern from all the other ones, that would probably end up happening in 2031 at the earliest, given this approach. Now, this is not the only approach that you can do. There would be, one, a lot of babies that you end up having to hold back, and it all depends on exactly what odds you hit and stuff like that, but it's probably gonna be a lot. But essentially, in this approach, starting from scratch, if you went this way and you hit your odds the first year that you could every single year, it would take you 11 years to hit that triple visual if you started from scratch. Now, a different approach that you could do is, instead of starting with a visual to visual and the visual to the second visual, so that way you can kind of get all your double hets and kind of work it up how we just explained, you could potentially go a visual to a double visual and make triple hets right away. Now, your odds of hitting are way, way less with triple het to triple het, but it is going to drastically cut down your time, because you're really only having to raise up 2 different generations. You're going to raise up your initial breeders and then the triple hets, and then you have a chance to hit what you're looking for. And one thing that I think makes this option, this visual to double visual, way more viable now in 2023 is that genetic testing is available. And if we were going to do this exact same thing that we just talked about, if we took a visual sunset and paired it to an ultramel clown, made triple hets, raised those triple hets up, there is a test that you can genetically test for sunset clown and for ultramel. So let's say that you paired those triple hets to triple hets together and you didn't hit the triple visual, but you did hit a double visual. You could test any of those babies, it doesn't really matter which ones they are, to see if they're het for that third gene that you want. And if it was, you could hold back that baby and drastically improve your odds on the next generation. And ultimately, there's a very, very good chance that you would still hit the triple visual way before you would than starting from scratch. So realistically, I say all of this to say is, even though triple het to triple het is a super, super long odd, I personally think that that is a more viable option, trying to go visual to double visual, or just going straight out and getting your triple hets, rather than trying to make a triple visual project from scratch. And again, we're doing it. We're already pretty far into it, at least into the initial stages of it. So we're gonna keep pursuing that. But just in case anybody else is wanting to pursue some really cool triple visual projects that don't exist already, my advice is get at least 1 double visual for your initial breeders and then work your animals that way. So we hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please like, comment, subscribe, and we will see you next week.